doesn't cost you a cent to run it, and it doesn't cost you anything to maintain it. It also has a lot of, Google is quite active with their help. So if you need any support or assistance, you know, they're generally online, or you can pop them a mail or something and they will get in touch with you. So we'll dig into that a bit in a little while. Let's just talk about, you know, today we'll talk about SEO, search engine optimization. I'm just going to touch on it very briefly. And it kind of leads into Google My Business and how it fits into that. And then we'll talk about Google My Business. And as you can see, next week we'll talk about Google Search Console, then Google Analytics, and then we'll talk about Google Ads and Keyword Planner. So it's a 4-part session, as Tracy said. It's an hour, I think, every Monday from today. So next Monday there's another, the Monday thereafter, and so on. So let's talk about SEO. I'm sure a lot of you have heard this. If you have a website, or if you started to try and engage with customers online and bring people to your website, SEO is search engine optimization, and in the name kind of tells you all. Search engine. If people are looking for things and they can't find it on any social media platform, they generally, especially in South Africa, revert to Google, google.co.za, and they do their search. So in order to be found on that search, there's a few things that you need to do, basic housekeeping on any website that you have. And that is, you know, labeling every single page that you have and putting in a little bit of an excerpt about what's on the page. And the same with any of your images. Label your images relating to the content that they're kind of portraying or sitting next to, or whatever the case is. It makes a massive difference when people are searching for what you offer. Believe it or not, there are people out there that cannot see, that are blind, that use Google, and Google actually has a feature available for these people that reads out the information on whatever they're searching for. So, for example, if they're looking for an image or they come across an image, if you've got your image name as img007, whatever it is, .jpg, that means absolutely nothing to that person that's looking for something. So if you label it, this is what I do at your web address or your company name, they know exactly what that image is all about, and then they can follow that link, you know, through to your website and find out further about yourself. So in a nutshell, that is what search engine optimization is. There's a lot of other things there's a lot of other very technical things that are involved in optimizing websites and things like that with search engine optimization. But for the sake of what we're doing today, I want to get to a starting point, which is Google My Business. So as I mentioned earlier, this is a free tool that Google offers. There's a link in the presentation, which I'm sharing with you guys. And today I'll go through what it is, what it means to your business, and how to use it, and also how to start it up. If you haven't got a Google My Business profile set up, I have a walkthrough which we'll go through, and then I will take you to one of my customers, our live customers at the moment. It's actually a friend, and show them how we've set up their Google My Business and what we kind of do fairly regularly. So as you can see here, this is what it looks like on mobile, Google My Business. The friend's business is Abacus Locksmith. They're based in Sandton. So this is a free tool and allows you to list your business on the Google platform. So pretty much like a Yellow Pages, but on Google. And in South Africa, the Google use rate is around, it's a lot higher than that, than 77%. That is Google traffic throughout the world. Probably about 90 to 95% of South Africans, their go-to platform is Google to search for things. So, I mean, if you're not there yet, it's time to make a plan. What's nice about Google My Business is, I mean, if somebody knows who you are, but don't know how to find you, if they have a look if they do a Google search on their phone, Google My Business gives them the option to go call you, and it will make a call directly from the phone, or give you directions to their business. So they'll be able to kind of on their phone, open up Google Maps and get directions from wherever they are to where you are situated. So if you don't have a website, Google My Business offers you the ability to create one. Unfortunately, you won't have your own personal domain, but it gives you the ability to start a free, very basic type of website. The more information you give Google My Business when you're setting it up, the more will be available for you to kind of set up this basic website. It gathers all the information from it that you give Google My Business. So all your contact details, any images that you put in, any descriptions about your business, it can pull that into the website and give you a basic layout, which you can then edit thereafter. It's a free listing that gives you the ability to post items and photos about, any of your products, any events that you're having, any announcements, and you can kind of do a post every so often so people can kind of read a bit more about what you offer. And then you can, what's nice about the back end of Google My Business, it gives you a whole lot of analytics and insight about what's actually happening on your profile. Is it working? Is it not? It helps you collect reviews. So if somebody comes to your shop and really has Google My Business gives you a free link which you can mail out to your customers to say, what did you think of us? Please give us a review. And then that is a very, very, very powerful tool that you can get for free that allows anybody reviewing or looking for what you offer to kind of see, well, hang on, there's other people that have been here that have had, these are the experiences, and we can kind of see from there before we make a decision. We all do that, right? So let's talk about setting you up. I think the first thing we've got to do is, most of us have got a Gmail account, right? I think what we need to do here is we need to separate the two. So before you go and create Google My Business with your personal Gmail account, rather separate it, because when you start creating a Google profile, it's about your business. It's not about you. And and generally people want to separate the two. So create a brand new Gmail account and call it whatever your business name is, at gmail.com or something similar. And then at least you've got separation between your personal life and your business. And then obviously once you get through the process, do set up two-factor authentication. It's very important. These days, you can use your cell phone as your medium for two-factor authentication. There's a little app that you can download for free. You scan a little QR code when you're setting it up, and every time you try and log into your account, your Gmail account, it asks you to type in the code from your authenticator tool, which helps you keep your stuff secure and away from prying eyes and evil wrongdoers on the interweb. So, I'm not going to go through this. It's pretty basic, pretty simple. I will share this with you about setting up your Gmail account. There's a step-by-step guide and information that's kind of required. If you haven't done this before. So let's talk about the actual tool, Google My Business. So I think if you log in, there's a link there, www.google.com/business. It will open up a page that looks very similar to this. Google likes to update their things quite regularly, which they kind of expect the same from any of us. So the page might look a bit different when you start the process. But over here, you'd kind of click on either sign in or start now. If you've got a Gmail account, you can sign in. And then it starts asking you about information. So it's quite self-explanatory, type in your business name, and it will do a check to see if there's anybody else on Google that has a similar name and potentially make recommendations about what the options are for you to change that. Your business category is also quite key when you make a selection. They do give you the option to kind of search for the kind of services and category that is available to you, and make sure that you select either exactly the same or something that's very similar to what you do. And obviously, do people, nowadays we probably don't have many stores that people come to, but if they do, you can select yes. What that does is it puts a little icon on the Google Maps. I don't know if anybody uses Google Maps. If you do a search, you see these little icons and business names pop up while you're scrolling around the map. This is where it does the same thing for you. You get your little icon that has your business name on it, and then people click on it. Whatever you pull up or put into the Google My Business tool actually pops up to say contact details, etc. Obviously, if you click yes on, your location, it will ask you for your business address. And then it asks you, do you want to do business with people locally or people outside of this location? And this is one of the first steps in you setting up a great account that will then later lead into how you run your ads, your Google ads. It feeds off of this information. And this kind of helps you when you're setting up your ad, it takes a few steps out of the initial creation because it's already got it in Google My Business. Obviously, add your services. What do you do? It gives you an option to put in a few details there. It asks for a contact number. So depending on the last two steps, the things that you select, you'll either get a confirmation via an SMS or an automated phone call to verify your business, or you'll get a Google postcard with a verification code, which kind of takes 2 to 3 weeks. And considering where we are at the moment, the few Google My Business profiles we've set up in the past few months, we've had to deal directly with Google to try and verify our accounts because the post is just not coming through. And then that's pretty much it. Then your profile is set up, and if you've ticked all the boxes and Google's happy with it, they then publish your profile. Although you're not quite done yet, there's still a few things that you need to do to finish setting up your profile. So I'm going to take you out of the website, and we're going to go and have a look at Abacus's profile, and I'll walk you through what all these things are, what they mean, and how it helps. So give me a second. I'm going to stop the video. And share another screen with you. Choose that. Okay, let me just make it bigger so we can all see it. Okay, so you've basically created your Google My Business profile. You'll be presented with this page. Over here, it will tell you, how far you are. Generally, this number is probably a lot lower than 85%. And through each one of these blocks, you will have a little icon or clickable link, something like this, add your logo, but on each one of these sections, so it'll ask you, is your address right? What are your business hours? Do you have any pictures that you can add? So it'll obviously, you can add photos. And you start filling this profile before you click on any create an ad or create a post. Make sure your profile's like 100% complete, or as close to 100% complete as you can. So once you've completed it, your profile should look something very similar to this. So you can kind of see the address that they've got, what areas they service, what are their operating times, and you can adjust these. What's nice is once you've got your profile set up, if there's any public holidays coming along, Google will drop you a mail to say, hey, it's whatever public holidays coming up, are you open, or do you have different working hours? And it'll allow you to make that change for that specific day. When the day's passed, it reverts back to the original times that you set up. Obviously, this is up to you. If you guys like to work after hours, you could add in special hours. If you work on public holidays, then all your contact numbers. And then this is one of the toughest things to do in the profile, and that's setting up your short name, if you like. Once a web address, if you have one, this will show up in the Google Search Console. I mean, if we do a quick search here, we go to google.co.za. I'll just show you what it looks like when you're working. So if we go to Locksmith in Sandton, so this, depending on how you view, is generally sitting here on the right. If we just do a search for Locksmith, maybe that'll bring in. No, okay, my settings. So this is kind of what, if you fill in your website, you'll have this link. And if you've got your address, you'll have this link. These guys haven't filled in a link to their phone numbers, so you can't click and call these guys directly. If we go to, let's see if Abacus is here. Let's go back. So The more information you provide, the more you'll get out of it from a Google search perspective. And then do you have any products? I mean, if you sell specific products like soap or services where people go out and you go and see your customers, you know, pull these things in. And then there's a little bit of a blurb about who you are, what you do, and what you're all about. If you want, you can add an opening date and then start adding photos. This section here under the advanced information, if you have more than one site, so you've got a branch in Johannesburg, a branch in Cape Town, a branch in Durban, for example, you can give them codes and labels so that you can differentiate which is which. You'll be able to manage all of your profiles from one place. And then obviously, if you want to upload things via a spreadsheet, you can differentiate them with these details. Let's open up over here and over here, and I'll show you what it looks like. So this is what I was looking for. From a Google search, you can see here they've got all their details in place. I mean, you can click on that and it'll ask you if you want to make a phone call. You can go straight to their website. You can get directions from wherever you are to, you know, where they are. And you can do all this on your phone, which is great. And then you can obviously give them a call directly. And obviously the numbers that they provide will pop up. And then the little icon on you get this. So if somebody's browsing around the maps, you see all of these things. I mean, if they found you, you'll be centered in the middle of the map if they click on your profile. Okay, so let's go back. So the info is quite important. Obviously, you want people to know when you're available, where you're based, where you service, what your products are. So complete this as much as you can. As you go through this number on the front that shows you how far you are will change. And the closer you get to 100%, the better. The next thing is posts. So Google is very sticky on this situation, specifically on your website. I mean, if you've got a website that's static and you've told Google that you have a website, if they don't see changes for a long time, your ranking drops down. So this is, again, part of an SEO strategy. So to keep your website fresh, they kind of recommend, you know, make little changes, subtle changes regularly, and that is one of them is doing a regular post. That post you could take and reduce the amount of words, as you can see here, and you can post it on Google My Business regularly. These posts are generally valid for 7 days before Google expires them. So that, you know, they basically want you to try and keep active on Google My Business. What's nice about this is, I mean, you can add a whole bunch of things. You can add offers if you're running any promos or specials. You can add any updates about, you know, what's happened at your store. If you're running an event, like today, we're running an online Zoom event. You can kind of add that in there with a link. And if you've got any new product that you're adding, I mean, if you've got a whole bunch of products and you want to create a box package deal, I mean, you can do that over here. And then if you create an offer like this, you can set a time on it. So it's available, as you can see here, from the 1st to the 30th of April. This was 2 years ago. It comes with a code. This code is a great way for you to track it. But in these guys' scenario, somebody walks in and says, I just got this discount code, and they give the code, and you can track, you know, how many times did this actual promotion get used, and then you can change it as often as you like. Well, you can create new ones as often as you like with a nice code that differs. Let's talk about the insights. So this is the information I mentioned earlier about the analytics. It's a nice place to see how your Google My Business is performing from a search perspective. You can change how often or how long back you can see what's happened. Obviously, the data changes. You can highlight the area and you can see how people have found you through the different methods. And then You can see how people have actually looked. You can dig a bit deeper. You know, these guys were found on maps 5,000 times. People were looking for their location and used Google Maps. And people have used the browser 3,000 or 3.79 thousand times to find them in Google, like I showed you earlier, Google.co.za, do a search for a locksmith near me. And then these links are the links that I showed you earlier that you have, so like website, directions, call. You can see how many times people clicked visit my website, how many times they were asked for directions in the last month, and how many times they were called from that link. It's a very valuable tool. And then obviously these guys have got a specific area that they focus on. This kind of gives you an idea, you know, where people asked about your business, looking for directions, what is the most common area. And if you're running Google ads and things, you know, this is a great way to kind of see, you know, where will I get the best results from my ad? Do I want to grow? Let's not advertise in here. Let's rather look at Midrand or, you know, whatever's not being found on my Google My Business area. And then this is a feedback on, you know, when was the busiest time that you got calls, you know, in this case, Mondays, then followed by Fridays and Wednesdays. Again, it's great information about, you know, how people are finding you, how they're getting hold of you, and how they're interacting with your profile. So we'll talk about photos. So when you get to the point where it asks you to add photos, there's many different ways of doing this. I mean, you don't really have to put interior unless you've got interior. I mean, we have a work from home office, so I'm not going to put a picture of my office in here. Videos are nice. I mean, if you're running like a walkthrough or how-to type video, you can place them on Google My Business. And then obviously logo is very important so people can identify who you are. And then you can see people, you can get your customers to post photos as well. I mean, if you've got really good relationships with your customers and they take photos of you doing what you do for them and post it, that's great. That adds a lot of strength to the credibility of your business. So adding a photo is very simple. I mean, you can select the photo from your computer. It's quite simple. You can obviously, photos, if people have tagged you in photos, just like Facebook, any other social media, you can tag friends and family that are using Facebook. If you've taken a picture, you know, the same thing applies here. Okay. I can't see the...
Renato, we have a question in the chat from Tuto. He said, can pictures from one's social media posts appear automatically with the Google My Business results without being manually added?
Yes and no. If you're using tools that will automatically post for you, absolutely. But if you're just going to post on Facebook alone, no, you have to move across and do it manually. But like I said, there's tools out there that will allow you to do that. So things like recur posts or what are the others? I can't think of the names now. So there's a couple of tools. As we go through, I'll think about them and pass them on. So, but yes, doing it on its own, no. If you have a tool, yes, absolutely. Okay, let's talk about product.
And sorry, Renato,
yes.
Can I just ask you one more question from the chat? So Sherry has said she has a profile which she created long ago, but it's asking her to verify something, but she can't see where to do it.
Okay, so in this, obviously these guys have verified, so it won't ask for it, but you will have somewhere up here, there will be a yellow sign that says verify. And if you click on it, it'll bring you to another page where you've got to type in a code. And then at the bottom of it, it should have a link that says help. And if you click on help and you speak to Google directly, they'll come back to you and ask you for a whole bunch of information to verify who you are and that you are the owner of the Google My Business profile. And if you basically tell them, you know, I have been up for so long and I haven't received my my Google postcard with my verification code in it, and they'll help you either by email or they'll give you a phone call. They'll phone you directly. Okay. Talk reviews. We'll work down the list. So very, very, very important and very good for your business is getting people to review, obviously, their experience with you. But the one thing you need to remember is you actually need to respond to them. It's very, very important because then it shows that you know, you've got a good experience with your customers, you look after your customers, you value your customers, and this is probably the hardest part, but if somebody gives you a negative review, that is the one review you have to answer, because it shows people, you know, that person could have, people, you know, they can read into it. So that person could have had a really bad day and you just didn't, you know, make it any better for them at no fault of yours. I mean, the person could have been having a really bad day and write a really bad review. And then if you go and respond to it, you know, thanks for coming into the store, you know, we helped you as much as we could. Unfortunately, we couldn't help, or whatever the case is, right? So respond to the bad reviews. It is really important to do that. If you leave them hanging, that leaves, you know, it makes people think twice about using you when they go through the reviews, when they're looking to potentially use your services. So responding to bad is just as important as responding to the good. And the good, generally a simple response. Thank you for coming through. You know, it was great having you in store, whatever the case is. I mean, that's entirely up to you. Keep it short, sweet, and simple. It allows people that are visiting and investigating your services to see that there is an actual human in the business, and it kind of gives them an idea of how you feel about your customers and the work that you do for them. So very, very important. Always look at your reviews. Always look at and respond to them. Doesn't matter what it is, good or bad. People have the ability, if they've got the app, if you've downloaded the app onto your phone, you've got the ability to send out messages, respond to messages. People can ask you questions directly. Like I'm sure you guys have been on websites where a little thing pops up on the bottom right-hand corner and says, "Hi, I'm available to assist you in any form or fashion." The little bot that pops up. Same thing applies for the app. If you've got it on your phone, obviously your phone's with you pretty much most of the day. If the app is open and available, somebody will pop your message, your phone vibrates and tells you, you know, there's a message. You can go straight in from there and respond to the people. Very handy to have. We've spoken about photos. We've touched on products. I mean, you can create as many products as you like on here. And it gives you or your customers the ability to review your customers, review your products, sorry. And obviously that builds. Then on the services, I mean, here's a great place to label your services and give it a bit of a description. If you've got a selling price, you can kind of, you know, say it's free at a price, is a fixed, you know, you can run a date. A minimum is R1, maximum is 500, whatever the case is. Give it an image. You can change your categories. I mean, the primary category that are locksmith. I mean, if you wanted to, you could potentially change this to a service. We're the service provider and we provide the following. I mentioned the website earlier. This is what Google gives you. I mean, nobody's touched this, nobody's used it. They have their own website. As you can see here, you get a link. It's predefined links, and you can tweak it a little bit, not a lot. This is free, so if you wanted to go and share this on the bottom of your signature, or I don't know if this is live, let's have a look, or in you know, on a brochure, then I mean, this could potentially be, no, this is not set up. You could potentially use this as your website, and obviously the more you give, the more you can, you know, Google pulls in, and you can go and edit all of this stuff, and you can change the pictures, you can change the look and feel, you can change the colors, you can make things clickable or not clickable. So if you haven't got a website and you want to try something on your own, there's a great opportunity and a great facility for you to use. And it's quite simple and intuitive. Like I said, most of it's done. You can change your themes. You can actually edit the text and the fonts. You can add photos, and there's a few other things you can do with it. This is not really important. This is just about, you know, who can, can't. And if you get somebody like ourselves to come and assist you with this profile, we'll ask you to make us add us as a user. And from this section, you can kind of see who's already been given access to your website, and you can kind of remove them or change the role that they play from here. And then obviously there's links to other things here. Oh wait, this is mine. That's not going to help you guys. I won't dig into this because we manage a few businesses, and this is where we can help, which, you know, quickly link through to the other people or the other Google My Business profiles we manage. So that's Google My Business in a nutshell. Are there any more questions, Tracy? See anything? Okay.
Mond has his hand up.
Yes. Just unmute yourself and have a chat.
Bondi, would you like to ask your question? There is also a question.
Thanks a lot, Renato.
That's my pleasure.
Okay, just a quick question around the verification. It used to be a bit easier to verify, but since last year, it is very difficult. In South Africa, we no longer do postcards, even the calling does not work. So how do we go around verifying these accounts, one? And then two, I know some of the Google trainings at the end of the presentation, they would give a special link to just verify an account. If you have attended a workshop, would you be giving such a link where we can verify accounts? Because I have two businesses that are verified of my own, and then the ones that I registered last year on Google My Business, they're not verified, and because they're not verified, you can't edit or do anything on those accounts. Thank you.
I don't have a link handy. I know I did have one. Let me just see. I think I've got, not on this profile. I'll have to go. I do have a link. So like I said, if under your business, if you go and click on the verification, obviously these are verified. If you click on the link at the top, that big yellow bar that they put at the top here, and you click verify, it will take you to another screen that shows you where you type in your code. There's generally a little help button, well, not a button, there's a help link that allows you to connect to Google directly and ask questions. And then they generally they respond back to you by email. I do have a link. I don't have it available now. I'll share it with Tracy and Laurie, and then they can post it out afterwards.
Thank you. Renato, can you explain, please, what the difference between a tag and a hashtag is?
Tag and a hashtag. I think it depends where the question's coming from. I mean, a hashtag is used on social media. And that, I mean, let's think of it this way. If you've got a following of 100 people on your Facebook profile and you use a hashtag, that hashtag has a following of a few thousand people. So if you post something, you type in your hashtag, you will reach not just the 100 people in your profile, but the thousands that are following the hashtag. And then I'm assuming the tag is potentially, well, there's many ways tags are related. So tags are related to setting up ads. Tags are related to photos on your website, images on your website, website pages. So can they clarify the question?
John, would you like to jump in here?
Hi there, it's Francine. I'm an artist, and in terms of putting images on, putting them out there, or besides the website, you know, for instance, Instagram likes hashtags.
Yes.
Generally, when I'm attaching data to my website, do I need the hashtag before, or I just put the tag?
Okay, on a website, you just put the tag. So forget
Okay.
the hash. The hashtag is used on social media.
So
if you're uploading your image onto the back end of your website into some sort of media library,
right.
Generally you can click on that image and it gives you a view of what all the metadata looks like, and it allows you to change that. So I mean, if you take a picture from a photograph, that will, however your camera set up or your phone set up, it'll give it a name automatically, which will be something like IMG followed by a number dot whatever the format of the picture is. When you upload that to the website, you need to change that name to something more relevant.
Yeah. No, I've got all the data. I just don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, the difference being, when I go onto Instagram or Twitter, then it needs the hashtag, but not otherwise. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Well done. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? Does this make sense?
No other questions in the chat box. Is there any questions that anyone has on Google My Business?
Okay, so that was Google My Business. I mean, it's fairly simple to set up. It is extremely important if you're trying to see and be found by customers. We all know that in the past year, the world has turned upside down, and the internet has actually started going really crazy. It has grown by hundreds and thousands of percentage. The usage has grown astronomically. People are now sitting at home on Zoom calls like we are today, and doing searches on whatever they want to find locally on a notebook, on a PC, through a browser, and a lot of people are not actually going out to buildings and shopping centers and the like, and do research online. So if you want to be found, you need to start your footprint with the Google My Business. It's the easiest, it's free, and it's very simple and intuitive to set up, as you can see. It's not very difficult. Yes, dealing with Google can be a bit of a challenge. I mean, they're a massive company, and they've probably got millions of us trying to set up profiles of Google My Business and need assistance. They do respond. Sometimes it does take a little while. So be patient with them. They will help you eventually. And once you've got them via an email, try and respond as fast as you can to them, and they'll come back to you just as quickly.
Renato, we actually have a couple of more questions that have just come in.
Let's go.
So Mandy asked, is there a way to get a code from Google My Business to show in on my website? Example, like a Twitter feed.
Let me just ask a question, yeah? So you want to show Google My Business on your website as a link like you do with Twitter or with Facebook or with LinkedIn?
Mandy, is that what you mean?
Absolutely. So the question is to that, yes. So there is a link here that allows you to share your profile. As you can see, I share your business profile. Comes up with a link. You can copy that and create. Obviously, there's plenty of social media icons available if you're using something like Font Awesome, and you can connect this link to that icon with your social media icons that you already have. Absolutely. When talking about links, there is a link to reviews that you can also share with your customers. So, I haven't done this in a while. So you can share this. You get a. I've forgotten how to do this now. Sorry, guys. So I will also find it and I'll send it to Laurie. But there's a way to share your profile so that people can go straight to the review section and write a review. So they don't have to go to your website first or go to There we go. So you can create a link as well to that you can stick in an email or a WhatsApp or whatever, that people come directly to the review section, and you can post a review on Google My Business directly. So there's two ways of linking this to your website: one by email and one by a link to the actual Google My Business section.
Renato,
Okay.
for a corporate that does video content creation, how could they best use Google My Business to promote their company?
So, a couple of questions. I mean, are you expecting customers to come and visit you at your premises to obviously go through setting up the content, having a meeting? If that's the case, absolutely, because they can get directions to you. Other things you can do if you wanted to share videos, I mean, there's an option to upload videos, and I wouldn't upload the entire video. I'd maybe upload a small segment, or you are limited to certain sizes, be that pixels and megabytes that you're entitled to upload. So you reduce your, I don't know, if you've got samples of your videos that you can stick on the web on Google My Business, and potentially link it to your website or your YouTube channel or Vimeo or wherever you save the videos. And then obviously, if you're writing like a little blog once a week, kind of when people come through looking for what you offer, there's a little bit of information about what you do and how you do it.
And then there was a question here, how do you use this to drive traffic to a website?
So this is step one, right? So this is a 4-part series. Step one is let's create Google My Business. And then a little bit later in the series, we talk about how to set up Google Ads, and how to monitor your website. And the other thing is, obviously, if you're looking at insights on Google My Business, is this screen still being shared? No. So under the insights section, go back here. So there's a little insights section. Can you see my mouse moving? Nope.
Yes.
Yes.
You can. Sorry about this. So there's an insight section here that you can kind of see where your traffic's coming from and what's happening. And obviously the things that you post, if your posts are using keywords that are related to your business and your product, that's another way of people finding your business. I mean, the more keywords you use in your articles and on your setting up your profile, the easier it will be for people to find you. So step one is set up Google My Business. I think in step 4, I'll show you how to go through the keyword planner and Google Ads and setting up Google Ads. And they all work hand in hand. It's part of Google's algorithms on how they monitor your website, your content, all of these tools that you set up, and if they're set up correctly, there's a lot of benefit from it, and a lot of it can be free traffic. You don't have to spend money on ads. Reviews are important, very important. If you can get a review, every customer you go to, if you can send them a link to say, please give me a review, it takes you literally 30 seconds to click a link, click a star, and submit. And even maybe it takes them a couple of minutes to write something if they really want to. Very powerful.
Definitely. And then we have one more here. Can you have various profiles?
Absolutely. Yes, you can. So as I mentioned earlier, there's a section right in the info section where you can label the different profiles that you have. So if you, like I said, if you've got one in Cape Town, Durban, Joburg, you can give each one their own address, their own phone numbers. Obviously, the website all comes back to the central website, and you can manage them from the same profile. And you use the, under the info tab, you use the tags for each business, and you make them a bit different. You can call it Durban, Cape Town, whatever you like, whatever suits you. So yes, you can. If they're different businesses altogether and they're not linked, yes, you can do it as well. You've just got to be invited from the one to the other to manage it, or as an admin. Well, not so much an admin, because there's an owner, and you can only have one owner, and then you've got admin and managers. And you can link them to a single profile that you would prefer to manage from. So when I showed you my profile, in the bottom left-hand side, we had the little business icon, which allows me to link to other companies' profiles and manage for them. Cool.
So, Renato, can we just take one more question from AD? She's asked, could each product you have be labeled separately?
Absolutely. Yes. So obviously, you've got to give every single product its own name. And it's up to you how you set it up. I mean, is it just a name? Is it a name and a code? Or both? Or is it done with a barcode? Obviously, you don't want to do that. You want to have it labeled and easy for your customers to read and understand. So the simpler, the better.
And is there a way to display an address if you work from home and you'd rather not put your physical address?
Absolutely.
So your home address?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, you can. It's just, obviously, you will make a note there to say, we don't take walk-ins, or we don't do walk-ins, by invitation only, or, you know, whatever that is.
Thank you.
And then, so sorry, there's one more I see here. To verify your Google My Business account, must you first wait the 22 days for them to post the postcard before you can ask Google for help?
Yes. Yes. And whatever you do, if you're in that process of waiting, do not click the verify again, because then you start the process all over again. So if you get to day 21, and those are business days, not weekends, if you get to day 21, you can then reach out to Google and say, guys, I haven't received this. We're having a problem with COVID. Our postal service is not really working. Our borders are closed. You know, we're not getting mail in from the country, whatever the argument is you want to have. And then they can start the process of validating online or via a telephone call. And they generally will ask you information about, you know, who you are, prove who you are. Is this your house or your business address? Please send us photos of the front of your building showing your, I don't know, some sort of branding. Take photos from the inside of your building showing branding and people sitting there working. You know, they ask for a whole bunch of things. And if you can provide them, the process is generally quite quick.
Thank you so much, Renato, and for answering, you know, the host of questions that we've had during this session. Before we end off our webinar today, again, we'd like to thank everybody for attending. And for those of you that did not have the opportunity and would still like to make a donation, we will put the poll up just for a couple of seconds. And we will follow this poll by a really quick survey, a feedback survey. In terms of the AutoJet offering, we like to ensure that we bring the businesses and the people that attend our webinars exactly what you ask for. So we do hear you, and your feedback is critical. We take into consideration everything that you've put on the feedback form when formulating the AutoJet training plan for the year. So if you wouldn't mind taking a moment just to complete that. And then we thank you all for your time. We thank you, Renato, for your expertise again at an incredible webinar. We look forward to seeing you all again on the 8th of February at 12 p.m. It's kind of like we have a stand-in 4-week Monday morning or Monday afternoon date with Renato, and we look forward to hearing more and learning more from you next week, Renato. I will send everybody the links that you have promised to send to us after this webinar. And we thank you so much for giving up your valuable time. We know that you're really busy with your own clients and your own business, But thank you for always being available to Offjet to help us on our program. So we wish you all a good afternoon, and we will see you same time next week, Monday.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Renato. Bye.
Thanks, Renato.
Bye-bye.
Bye.